So here we have the 1073 OPX, that's Neve's 8-channel preamp with remote control capabilities and a whole range of digital outputs.
Yeah, this really is a Swiss Army knife product for any small studio or professional studio environment. This is 8 channels of 1073. It's used at studios all over the world, including some of the world's top studios, such as Air Studios in London. Even Abbey Road have several of these throughout the facility.
So it's not just studios like Abbey Road, it can also be used in home studios, smaller setups and things like that. It really is a 1073 for the modern era. Now, can you just talk us through the preamps on this?
The 1073 OPX is an evolution of the classic 1073 design. It uses the same preamps that we have in our flagship hybrid Genesis Black console. So these are digitally controlled 1073 preamps with a Mariner transformer on that front end.
Now, just like the Genesis Black console, these are the digital encoders instead of the traditional stepped Elmer switches. What's the benefit of using these?
Well, because these are encoders, that means we have full digital control over them. You can save and load settings and so on and get all the benefits of instant recall for a preamp. But these are actually 1 dB steps as well, which is a little bit different to what we have on some of our other 1073s. And that enables a really high degree of accuracy when you're working with this preamp, especially if you're working with stereo pairs or maybe whole groups of instruments. You can accurately tune them across the whole group with this encoder.
And as we've discussed previously, this is designed to be the front end of the 8424 console. So can we just talk about the preamp controls of this?
So at the top of each channel, we have the phantom power. This is activated by this switch here. And this phantom power only goes down the microphone line, so there's no danger of doing any damage to line equipment or any of the DIs. We have a 25 dB pad that can be activated for any of the input types here. We also have the low Z impedance selector. So that changes the impedance from 1.3 kilo ohms down to 300 ohms. So if you have any vintage microphones in your studio kit, you can optimize that impedance for those microphones as well as the rest of your range. We also have a signal presence LED for all of the channels, giving you an idea of when you're clipping. And we have a high pass filter that can be activated on any of the channels at 80 Hertz. So you can cut out some of that low end rumble when you're recording, and you can phase flip any of the channels as well.
And I can see each channel has a combi input, so I can plug in a microphone, a line in, or an instrument.
Yeah, we have front and rear connections on the OPX, and these are actually switched. So you could leave the OPX completely integrated into your studio via D-sub cabling at the back, so connected into patch bays or a console. And then if you want to quickly access any of these channels, you can just activate the FNT or front input switch, and then you can record straight away right into the front of the unit. So plug a DI in, for example, ready to go.
I can also toggle through the preamp types as well, from the mic, the line, the DI. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
The 1073 OPX has 3 independent preamps per channel. So we have a microphone preamplifier, which ranges from 20 dB up to 70 dB of mic gain. But when you factor in the pad at 25 dB, then you have a 75 dB mic range. We also have the line amplifier, which ranges from -20 to +20 of line gain, and you can activate that here. And then we have the DI, which is optimized for instruments at a higher impedance. And this ranges from 30 to +60 of instrument gain.
And can you just run me through the DI? Because I know there's something special about this.
Yeah, the DI on the OPX actually uses a Class A fully discrete circuit going through a matched pair of JFET transistors. So it's a really warm sounding DI, quite a unique circuit that we have here, and it does sound fantastic on a whole range of instruments.
So there's 8 independent Class A DI channels on the OPX. I've noticed as well the monitoring section.
Yeah, this is another unique thing about the 1073 OPX. We actually have a complete monitor circuit in here. So we have 2 XLRs at the back, which are monitor inputs, and then 2 XLRs, which are monitor outputs. And these are controlled from this level control here. So you can actually plug your main studio loudspeakers into here as well. And we can also use latency-free monitoring for when we're tracking. So I can activate any of the preamps by pushing them here into the monitor path, and then these preamps are fed directly into that monitor path, latency free for when I'm tracking.
And there's also a headphone out as well, so you can essentially use this to send a cue mix to a drummer.
Yeah, exactly. This can be used for headphone monitoring. And there's also another unique feature that you can employ with the 1073 OPX. If you didn't want to use this monitor path for monitoring, you can actually use it for stereo summing. So you can feed any of your preamp outputs through the stereo path, and you can sum them together that way.
So I could even bring in 4 stereo pairs, essentially turning this into a summing mixer.
Yeah, you can use this as an 8-channel summing mixer if you wanted to work that way. There are a lot of different possibilities you have with the 1073 OPX.